I believe you began at piano at a young age. Can you pinpoint a moment when music as a career option began to come to you?
Yeah. Well, I'd always loved music, and I always saw the joy that it gave everybody to listen and participate. So that playing thing from an early age was pretty easy. And then I suppose I was at art school, and I'd gone through the teaching round thing, and I was playing when I was at art school. So it really just took over my life. I mean, it wasn't a conscious kind of decision like, I'm now going to make a career of this. I sort of fell into it, really. It was all very kind of natural progression from just loving music into meeting more and more musicians, and then when I moved down the coast here, I got together with other friends and we played at surf doos and, board riders doos and all that sort of stuff, and then I just joined Goanna after that, so...
Talking about your time in Goanna, and I guess it's hard to talk to anybody from Goanna and not talk about solid rock. Do you remember the first time you heard the song and the effect that it initially had on you?
Yeah, I do. It was in my lounge room. Shane had been to Central Australia, and he came back with that riff and the bones of the song, so we just sort of sat down and started playing it together. So, yeah, I remember it very clearly, actually. I remember, helping put those, riffs in and stuff like that. So, yeah, it was good. Not the guitar riffs, just various other bits and pieces. So, can't claim any of that. Can't claim the famous riff.
Did it surprise you, the commercial success of the song, considering its subject matter and everything?
Yeah, look, it did really. I mean, the song came out of a very, a very sincere place, and I suppose we were all people that had grown up in families with a social conscience, and so it seemed like, like it was, we knew it was a good song because it had all the elements of being a good song for radio. It had all the, the riffs and the power. It was a very powerful song. But yes, we were all really surprised as to how quickly it got added and how quickly it was received by the Australian public, given its content. So, because it was a really, an expose of dispossession of Aboriginal people from from the land. Yeah. So, and the ABC wouldn't play it initially because they thought it was too political. And then because every other station in Australia was pretty much playing it, they kind of came on board too. So there you go.
Being a songwriter yourself and being in a band with such a strong songwriting force as Shane, was it a little limiting for you sometimes getting your songs heard?
Look, it wasn't limiting getting them heard. I mean, I'm basically a fairly, self-conscious, shy person. And, I didn't cope with criticism very well, I suppose, back then. So a couple of songs I brought to the band, the manager didn't really think they were up to much. So I sort of went back into my crab-like shell and really didn't emerge again until after the band stopped touring. So yeah, I wrote a couple of those initial songs and stuff, but I suppose I was one of those happy soldiers, I loved the music and I loved playing, and I felt that I was growing as a musician all the time, and sort of happily took on that role as, because we knew, I suppose, that it was the sound of the band that was actually quite a force too, because it was, the two girls and two women, I should say, and Shane, and that produced a sound that really, I suppose, if anything, it kind of mirrored some of the bands that had made it really big in America, Fleetwood Mac and those kind of bands. So we knew that was a very important component of the band as well. So yeah, I didn't mind playing that role.
Now, after the enormous success of that first album, was it a letdown as such when the second album didn't even though it was an equally strong piece of work, it didn't capture the public's imagination in the same way?
Yes, it didn't. It didn't really get any support from the record company at all, for various reasons that they would have to answer, I presume. But yeah, it really. I mean, we put a lot of work into it. We worked with Billy Payne. It was a much more produced album than the first one, but I thought the songs were great. I loved the production because for us, you know, the first CD, what era am I in? The first album, I should say, was such a big learning curve, and we'd grown so much as musicians in that next period of time that we really wanted to, you know, explore and put down what we'd learned as musicians. So it had a lot more finesse in it. It had a lot more production. You know, we wanted to try various ideas, and you know, working with Billy Payne, who's a fantastic musician, really lifted the bar for us as well. So it was a matter of, you know, we thought we'd made a really good album, and I still think it's a really good album. I still think some of those songs are very beautiful, and it's a pity people didn't get to hear them. But it was a departure from the first one. The first one was kind of raw, very, I suppose, sort of uniquely Australian, and then the next one took on much more of a world feel about it. So we were disappointed at the time. I think it's, you know, maybe one of those things that was meant to happen in a sense. Well, it would have been nice to be successful too. But yeah, look, things happen for a reason, really.
Yeah. So when Goanna ended, did you know right away what you wanted to do with the next phase of your life and your career?
Yeah, look, I wanted to keep going. I was heartily sick of touring at that time, and really quite broken from the amount of touring that we'd had to do to pay back a big debt that we were left in. You know, I suppose it was a combination of, God, what else can I do? You know, I'm a musician, this is what I love. How can I, you know, keep going, but at the same time not take the negatives that I've just experienced with the debt and everything? How do I not take that into the next situation? So I got a manager, and of course, you know, I was sort of like straight from the frying pan into the fire again. So you know, I made an album with that Sam C produced, which was great, but there were problems with management, and you know, as much as I loved working with Sam, it really didn't feel like me singing it and performing it. It felt very forced to me. So in that sense, so that didn't come out. So, you know, we just canned it halfway through, or not halfway through. The songs were pretty much recorded, and I worked with great people, great players and stuff. And Sam, who's just a treat, a treasure. But yeah, for one reason or another, that kind of fell into disarray too, from a management perspective, and I just thought, this is too hard after what I'd just come through from Goanna. I didn't want to fall into the same thing again, so I just said, no, not coming out, not doing it. And I went cooking for about 3 years, so and sort of had a job for the first time in my life. So that was a bit of a shock.
Just looking back over some of your other achievements, tell us about your involvement in the late 90s with the Aboriginal Songlines program.
Look, that's a great program. It was, as you say, set up by Songlines, and it was an opportunity to mentor an up-and-coming Indigenous artist. So I was put together with Christine Ward, and Christine's gone on to do some, I think she's up to her second album, and we basically just sort of worked together, explained, you know, how the industry worked as much as we could, helped people shape their songs, you know, and put together, you know, basically sort of get people's confidence up so that they knew what they were getting into as a as an Australian musician. So it was a great project. We had a meeting kind of once a month up in Melbourne. And there was all sorts of people involved, Paul Hester and Nicky Bomber and Dave Steele and, some Jen Anderson, some terrific people who had been around for quite a while and seen, a lot of different aspects of the music industry. And we were, as much as we were mentoring, we were also kind of, swapping ideas as well. So it wasn't just a one-way street. Because there were people, Indigenous artists like Richard Franklin and, as I said, Christine Ward and Glenn Romanis and, some really interesting, very talented people there as well. So, yeah, it was great.
Now, shortly after the release of your first solo record, you had one of your songs covered by a wonderful artist, Molly O'Brien. It's an ultimate compliment for a songwriter to have the material covered. It must have been a massive boost to your confidence so early in your career, in your solo career.
Yeah, well, I thought it was great. Molly's such a beautiful person and such a great singer. And since then, my friend Mars has worked with her brother Tim a little bit as well. So funny how the crossovers happen. But we met each other at Port Fairy and swapped CDs and stuff, and then she rang up and she said, "Oh, look, I'd really like to do that song." So it was terrific. I mean, I had sort of grandiose sort of notions that it would be, it'd sell a whole lot of CDs and it'd be incredibly successful and stuff like that. But independent American artists do it the same way as we do it here. It's people, quite often love the CDs and stuff, but it doesn't mean that it's going to be hugely successful. So, and it was a very fine CD that she put out. So I was really kind of honoured to be on it. So.
Yeah. A proud moment for you must have been your work in the Bridges to Bali benefit concert, which you were involved in organisation. Tell us about the journey of putting something like that together.
It was just after the bombing, and I was sort of walking around in the backyard thinking, oh, this is, it's a terrible, terrible event. And, all sorts of aid effort and stuff were being made for the Australian people and the Australian victims, but I was really worried that the Balinese people, and there were many of them, would be somehow kind of forgotten. So I thought of an idea to do the concert and approached Sandy Merrigan at Deakin University in Geelong, and as it happened, a couple of the members of the Deakin University family had been caught up in that, killed and injured. So Deakin was very positive about being involved, and then I went and saw people at the ABC, and they said they would also do it. So very graciously, Derek Gill came down, and we made it into a live and local concert, that one of those series that they were doing back then. And it was a great thing to do. Everyone threw themselves into it. It was great, being involved in the artwork, and we decided to bring the Balinese community in from Geelong and the surrounding area. So we had a presence there. It was a very kind of spiritual event, and an event filled with goodwill, and everybody that came along and played, of course, musicians are great at that. Mm. None of us earned any money, so it's like, well, this is what we can do, to help people. So, Ross Wilson and the girls from Git and Dave Steele and Tiffany Eckhart, and we did, we put Goanna together for a couple of songs, and so it was a terrific thing to do, and very thankful that sometimes in life you have an opportunity to maybe help a few people, and that was one of them. So very grateful to everyone who was involved.
You're involved in something similarly wonderful, doing a series of concerts for benefit of drought-affected regions too. It must be really gratifying to have a network of artists to call on that are so willing to involve themselves in something like that.
Yeah, look, it was terrific. It was, once again, it was one of those kind of mad ideas, because I come from the country, and I know how hard it is for people in a drought-affected environment and community. You know, everyone is so depressed and not really knowing where they're going to get an income from for the year. Everything kind of rides on crops and stuff. So to me it was a very personal kind of journey as well, back into the country, and I loved working with the communities up in country Victoria. And my dad was a farmer, so you know, I was sort of very in touch with country people and know how they work, and it's wonderful how a community can just sort of mobilise itself in the space of a very short time. So yeah, I kind of worked with the local communities, and various people put in money. I had to earn money to actually put the concerts on, so Anglicare gave money, Harold Mitchell, Vic Health, and the state government all gave money to do that. And then we just sort of I had meetings with council and police, and you know, did long drives up into the country and put that together. And then we involved the schools. Damien Howard had written a song for school kids to sing. So he sent out stuff, just packages to school, so the kids could come and have a sing. And 10 of us, Pete Dennehy, sorry, excuse me, Pete, who's a great guy, wonderful entertainer, and Dave Steele and Tiff again, you know, like old friends, the Ploughboys, led by Damien Howard, Marcia Howard and myself. And we also got local musicians to play as well. So we were kind of putting on 5-hour concerts up in the country for people, and you know, I had great feedback from people and really heartening stuff, saying things like, you know, I've never been so proud of being part of my community and stuff, as, you know, being involved in putting this on. So it was terrific, really terrific thing. And you know, you kind of forget the work after a while, but it was a lot of work.
How do you look back on the Spirit Returns project now? It was a real melting pot of musical styles. Is that the direction you think Goanna would have taken had it continued on all those years?
Look, I think it's hard to imagine where we would have been up to had we kept working together musically. I think it was really important for all of us to go away and define our own musical styles a bit. You know, we'd worked with so many different people, like some of the people that were featured on that CD. It's really hard to know, John. I think it probably would have been different again, because it was so hard to pick which songs we were going to do. You know, we all sort of contributed songs that we thought were Goanna-ish kind of songs, you know, songs with harmonies, songs that, you know, and maybe had a social conscience or whatever. But it could have been completely different had we not had that long break. So who's to say?
You've spent a significant amount of time travelling and living overseas. Indeed, your last album was largely written overseas. How does your surrounding and your environment influence the way that you write, for example? Would those songs have come out had you written them after you returned home? Would they have come out the same way?
Well, some of them I did write when I came home. I don't necessarily write very well when I'm travelling, but I filled my head up with stuff. And I had, you know, the bones of a few songs when I came home. So it was I just needed sort of time to sit down and go, now what was that? You know, what was the essence of what I saw there or heard there or felt there? And some of those things that I do much better in hindsight than I actually do, on the spot. So I love making the CD because it was the first one that I'd done myself at home, and it just gave me the freedom to try a whole lot of different stuff out, and I'd never really had that chance to hear myself back singing and be a real critic of my own singing, so I think the singing on North is more relaxed and more me, really, and the next one will probably be more relaxed again. It's just a matter of going, I don't have a clock running, I can take my time, and if I want to, I love arranging stuff, so it gave me a lot of time to sort of sit at home and arrange and fiddle with atmospherics and strip songs back. You just don't get that time in the studio with a price tag attached to every hour that you're in there. So yeah.
You live in a lovely part of the world down there in Queenscliff, and down your way and through the Western District there's a large community of musicians, probably more so than any other region in Victoria. What do you think it is about the area that attracts creative types?
Oh, I don't know, John. It's a fringe dwellery kind of thing. Some people work very well in the city. There's a very big community of musicians in Melbourne, central Melbourne too, so I think it's just a lifestyle preference, really. Some of us need more space around us to think and write, and other people need the kind of density of a city to feel like that they're fully engaged. I think it's a very personal thing, really. But we do have a lovely community right down the coast of all sorts of musos, and we're all quite close too in that regard. We all kind of help each other where we can with our work, and record for each other, and no money changes hands kind of thing. So we support each other. It's a terrific environment to have down here to work in.
Now with Goanna, you did the Countdown reunion tour not too long ago. How was that experience for you? It was very funny. What can I say? It was like a time warp, really, because for most of us, Shane, Mas and myself, we've really been out of that rock, pop, commercial part of the music industry for quite a while. So, it was the same. It was, the gathering of people that we would have known and crossed paths with a lot all those years ago. And it was the same kind of atmosphere that would have had all those years ago, except everyone was just a little bit more excited because we were getting to re-air, what made us successful in the first place. So it was a strange mix. It was like a passing parade in a kind of Fellini film, really. It was very funny, and sometimes I felt like a voyeur, and sometimes I felt like, really kind of getting involved, and a strange mix. I think we all kind of got out of there and went, right, what was that, I wonder? So, but lovely to see some of those people from the past too. Yeah.
Really lovely. There's some really nice people still doing great music, and so it was good to see what they were up to and hear what they were up to and see who's doing good and everything. So it was interesting. Great experience. One of those ones that you put down as, one of the experiences you have as a musician every now and then. Something kind of odd like that comes up. So.
As for playing live, you do a good deal of it on the festival circuit. How do you find festivals in general as a way of finding a new audience for an independent musician like yourself?
Oh, look, it's great because you don't have to worry about, pulling a crowd in terms of being your own promoter for the show. So it means that people are there to see and hear different musicians. Sometimes people wander in and go, we've never heard of you before, where have you been, kind of thing. And then you get your base of people who have been incredibly supportive over the years. And, I played solo for quite a long time, so I feel very confident now as a solo performer. And just recently, in the last 12 months, Marcia Howard from Goanna and I have started working together as a duo. So that just makes it just wonderful, because we've been, great friends all this time. We know each other musically very, very well, and we go out and we sing and we play together. We do, precisely what we want. We're sort of elders now in the music world, so we've got a lovely generation of younger people who are interested in what we do, and where we've been, and our life that we've had. So we're finding it immensely kind of rewarding to be working together again. And it's great fun, we just have a great time together, on stage and off. So
you've been billing yourselves as Pearl. Any plans to record together in that format?
Yes, we've got a CD well on the way.
Oh, excellent.
And I'm working on some artwork at the moment, and also building a website too. So, we're very excited about the future, and just having some the companionship and of each other. And we've also been working quite a bit with Tony O'Neill, who's a fantastic fiddle player and mandolin player, singer and guitarist. So Tone's great. We work with different people. We will be working with more different people in the future as well. So it's a great kind of project.
Fantastic. I will look forward to that. And just before I let you go, Rose, what else is coming up for you in the upcoming months?
Well, we've got the National Celtic Festival this coming weekend. We've got a trip to Broughton, and just at the moment we're just trying to do 1 or 2 gigs a month, like nothing too demanding, while we get our new repertoire together. We've got plenty of songs between us that we can do, but we're trying to work on new songs as well. We're trying to record, and so I think in August we're doing a workshop down here with the Brunswick Women's Choir, and then a gig over at Harvester Moon in Port Arlington. So that should be terrific too. Terrific. And just sort of those kind of gigs. We're trying to do workshops with people at festivals, so that we can pass on like something of ourselves to other people, and kind of get involved at that community level as well. So
brilliant.
And I'm involved in the local choir down here. I direct the local choir down here, so that's a fair bit of fun.
Plenty to keep you busy.
Yeah.
Terrific. Hey, Rose, thanks so much for your time. It's been an absolute pleasure to catch up with you.
Thank you, John. And lovely to talk to you too. I appreciate the support, and we'll keep you posted on what's going on, and hopefully, we'll get to see you at a gig sometime in Melbourne.
I'll certainly make myself known to you if I get there. Absolutely.
Yeah, great, John. Thank you so much.
And we'll look out for that Pearl album in the not-too-distant future.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Thanks again, Rose.
Thank you, John.
Take care.